Hey guys, Paul Alex here, founder of CashSwipe.com with another one. I want to introduce you to Joshua Burns. He is a consultant for CashSwipe.com. Fun fact, he is the youngest consultant ever for CashSwipe, guys. At 20 years old, he just turned 20. He got hired at 19. I've known him for close to 2 years now. He is a phenomenal young man. He is crushing it in sales. But the biggest key takeaway that I will tell you that you're going to get from this interview is he has a big heart. So I want to introduce you to Joshua. Joshua, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Well, I appreciate the I appreciate the introduction, Paul. But yeah, a little bit about myself is, like Paul mentioned, I'm a little bit younger of a guy. I joined about a year and a half ago with Paul's sales team. And with this to start it off, I was working corporate, right? I was in property management in Minnesota. I'm a Minnesota boy myself. But it just wasn't quite working out for me. I didn't really see myself staying in the 9 to 5 route. That's where my family was from. All my family's in property management. And I kind of had the opportunity to venture out and actually pack up my car and drive from Minnesota all the way to Miami and actually work directly with Paul and now here with CashSwipe. So now I'm able to kind of help people get their businesses up and running.
I love that. I love that. So, Josh, what type of skill set would you say you consider yourself an expert in, man, at the age of 20? Okay. And then what proof do you have to back it up, brother?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I would probably say the biggest thing for myself personally is going to be discipline, right?
Mm,
You know, it's not easy to be 20 years old and really have to isolate yourself from everything the world offers, right? Being able to wake up every day, go to the gym, work 10, 12 hours, rinse and repeat, and do that consistently. That's probably the biggest thing. And I would say that's one of the biggest reasons for the success I've had in a short amount of time is I'm able to really block out the stuff that I know that doesn't really have value or bring value to myself, and I understand the things that I do now is going to set myself up for the future. And that's the biggest reason, right? Is I dropped out of high school at 17 years old and I moved away from my family. And with doing so, I had all the opportunities in the world to kind of venture out and do, what most 17, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds would do, right? Is go out and party and drink and do all these things. But I didn't do that, right? I found something that I thought I could do and I locked in, right? I cut out people that, didn't bring me any sort of value. I had to make the hard decisions to be able to do that. I had to I had to stay disciplined, right? I had to work every single day. And that's probably the biggest one for me.
I love that, man. I love that. It's showing that you grew from past events and staying locked in, staying disciplined, staying focused. Like I said, guys, Josh, he's not only one of the youngest consultants we have here at CashSwipe, but he's actually one of the best. So if you talk to him, pick his brain. He is good. Okay, so with that being said, brother, why CashSwipe? Let's talk about that. What is your mindset behind CashSwipe?
Yeah, so if I'm just gonna be honest, one is I was a client of Paul's before I even worked with him, right? Like I've been on the other end of the conversation, and I've tried a lot of different ventures out there. I've tried Amazon FBA, Walmart automation, e-commerce, right? I've tried them all, and honestly, I've spent a lot of money and I lost a lot of money, right? And when I found Paul, I thought this was more of a viable business to actually do. It made a lot more sense. So not only was a client, is I actually had an opportunity to then, like I said, move down to Florida and kind of help people do the same thing. And when you're able to see success for yourself, you're gonna want to help other people do that, right? At the end of the day. But not only that is I actually had a mentor that I ventured out to, and he wanted to start a business and I had the opportunity to help him with that. And I thought the grass was greener on the other side. And I'll tell you, it wasn't, right? It kind of crashed and burned in my face pretty hard where, I spent a lot of money. I ended up actually leaving Paul at one moment of time thinking I could do something on my own and build something on my own. But the reality is in this space, in the online space, trust is a big thing. And, doing good business is also really important, especially to myself and my faith, right? And that's kind of what I found is it doesn't compare. I felt like I got very blessed to be able to work with somebody like Paul on my first go around, where I didn't know that there was other opportunities out there. I thought every business was like Paul's and everybody treated you like Paul did. Well, it's not true, right? So that was the biggest one, is when I saw what other ventures were out there and kind of the business you do and the people you work with. It wasn't like family. There was no community. I knew I had to come back to Paul. And, thankfully enough, I had the opportunity to work with him again. And, we have a lot going for us right now. We just integrated ATMs with our merchant processing. We have the crypto payments. We just started running people's marketing as well for all their social media. So there's a lot in 2026 that we're developing right now at CashSwipe as a whole to be able to help people a lot further and actually help them change their lives and solve the problems that they're reaching out to us for.
I love that, man. I love that. And absolutely, man. We're integrating as we're growing. I mean, it's grown quite a bit in the last few years, guys, if you're watching this right now. So, Josh, let's get a little bit personal, dude. Like, I want the viewer to get to know you. Okay.
Yep.
So, what is your future plans in the next 12 months, brother? What do you want?
Yeah, man. And if I'm gonna get a little vulnerable here, in the next 12 months, I personally have a couple things that I want to work on. One, I want to keep building my faith, my walk with the Lord. That's number one for me. But not only that, I want to kind of heal myself, right? There's a lot of past stuff that's happened in the last 3 to 4 months. Like I mentioned, when I went to work for one of my mentors while going to Orlando, I had a 3 year long relationship, and I came back and I got cheated on too, which really set me pretty far back. I felt like I left a great opportunity with Paul. I lost a bunch of money. I came back with no relationship. So that was all hard. That was really challenging to dig myself back out of that hole. And right now I feel like I'm back at the start again. I'm not quite where I was when I left, but that's okay, because I would like to say I've failed a lot more than I've won, but I know I'm going to supersede where I was at. So this year, I just really want to work on my mental state. And not only that, is also my physical, right? Get healthy again, heal my body from, I used to be a football player. I still have injuries lingering from that, man. So a lot of that is just healing.
Love that. Love that. And what would you say is your why currently right now, brother? Why do you do all this, man? Why do you want to level up? Why come back to CashSwipe? Why go on the journey of healing, right? What are you doing it for?
There's kind of two pieces of the pie. Obviously, as you just had your baby boy, right? You want to do it for the people you care about, right?
Mhm.
And that's mine. Is I want to retire my mom. I want to retire my pops. They've always done so much for me from the time I was little to where I'm at right now. Seeing my mom work 15 hours a day every single day just to basically get the bills paid, right? I want to help out my sister. I want to be able to be that person in the family that if anybody has a problem, they can run to. But not only that, is I want to do it for myself. I struggled a lot with anxiety when I was younger, just of what I wanted to do. Like I said, I knew the go-to route for my family was to go to corporate, right? Graduate high school, go to college, work in property management, do all these things, and that's where I was going. I started that venture in property management, and every single day I was going to work and I just wasn't happy doing it. And I know I did not want to do it for the next 40 years of my life. And I'd go to night just being afraid, right? Of, am I going to waste half my life doing this? And I knew I had the potential inside of me, and I was honestly kind of delusional about the things I was able to do, but I never quite did anything. I never started, right? I talked a big game, but I never did anything with my life. And it honestly scared me, right?
Mhm.
So this year I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for the person that, had the sleepless nights, had the anxiety, the person that, always had to move around, bounce state to state, have people leave and doubt him and talk all these, nasty things about it. I'm doing it for that person, right? That's the person that I'm doing it for this year.
I love that. And that's powerful, brother. So to tee this up, Josh, and you're doing great, dude. This is a lot of great information that people that are viewing this, that they're getting to know you, man. And that this is what it's about. Okay. It's
Absolutely.
for you. So anything that you want to tell any future clients or anyone watching this that might be talking to you here in the next few days?
Yeah, number one is, ask the questions, right? We're here to help you. You have to know the answers to the question, know if it's the right decision for you, right? Because at the end of the day, we're here to help you, right? This is something that, we want you to start to be able to change your life, right? But not only that is, if this is something that you do want to start, don't overanalyze it, right? I see it so many times where people overthink themselves out of an opportunity and they never start. It feels like just yesterday it turned 2026, but now we're almost in the middle of February, right? And I've talked to people in January that wanted to start, and soon enough it's going to be halfway through the year. So that's the biggest thing for me, is just starting, and that's why I would say is where I'm at right now is I started, right? I stopped talking so much. I stopped over analyzing everything. Like I said, I was big on anxiety, and I just did it. And every day I just had to progress 1% better. And if you're able to do that, by the end of the year, your life, your problems that you have right now, they won't be there anymore. And that's a guarantee.
Dude, that's powerful, man. So Josh, where can they find you on Instagram, brother?
Yeah. So my Instagram is the Josh Burns 10.
Love that, guys. Make sure to follow Josh. Send him a DM if you guys have any questions. Guys, make sure to subscribe, like, and actually share this with a family, friend, or someone you care about, okay? This interview right here is going to change so many lives going into 2026 and beyond. With that being said, if you guys see this little screen right here, this is going to be the next consultant that you guys can actually check out from the CashSwipe team. My name is Paul Alex, founder of CashSwipe.com, Joshua Burns, consultant with CashSwipe.com. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.